talking about oil and gas. It is a special edition of Ghana Connect. It's taking place not only here in Accra, but also in the Western region. But we have a special coordinator for this very special edition of Ghana Connect, Jahu Nyan, here with me. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Never heard of any special edition before, but today it's special.
Yes.
And especially when we know that the Ghana Connect series have always elicited a lot more responses from what the publics and various sectorial people think. It means that we're going to have it shaped around those very themes.
Yes, it's still going to be a public discussion. You're still going to have people calling in and people sharing their views on issues relating to oil and gas. For this special edition, we are focusing specifically on local content in oil and gas. Now, somewhere last week, the Petroleum Commission launched their policy, or they actually had a stakeholders meeting on a local content, oil and gas local content policy. And the idea is that by 2020, when we are talking about upstream industries in Ghana oil and gas, they want 90% of that to be Ghanaian managed. Right now, there's a huge capacity gap. We are not doing even close to 50%. So how do we expect to get to 90% within the next 4 years? That's a big question on all of us, our minds. We also have policies. Any company coming into Ghana, any oil company coming to Ghana has to give a certain quota of jobs to Ghanaian workers. Most of them do that, but the problem is that most of those workers in the oil companies are not really the decision makers. When you go downstream, downstream is, I have to try and figure it out. Downstream is when that's after the oil rigs, all the processes.
Yes, the various value chain.
Value chain, exactly, before it finally gets to the retail.
Drilling and all
that.
Yes,
and then upstream is the drilling, as in what happens on the rigs and so on and so forth. So on the rigs and so on and so forth, that is upstream. You have a number of Ghanaians working there, but they usually work in sort of menial jobs or jobs that
artisanal,
artisanal
even
jobs.
though they tend to have
with
some
the welding,
level of expertise.
Yeah, no, but they're usually like the cooks and the cleaners. Even with the welders, I understand from industry players that you even have a lot of people bringing in welders from other countries to come and do this deep sea rigging welding on the rigs. So there's a lot of issues when it comes to oil and gas. So we're doing this discussion. We're doing it in Accra and Takoradi. The reason is we all know that Takoradi is the hub when it comes to oil and gas. We call it the oil city, but the decision makers are in Accra. So how do we match the decisions, the policies that are made to the realities on the ground, which is like the big idea behind doing this multicast. So we have a panel in Accra with an audience, and we also have a panel in Takoradi with an audience. The panel in Accra is going to talk more about policy issues. We have someone from ASEP coming. We have the owner of Galaxy, the CEO of Galaxy Oil coming. Galaxy Oil is a locally owned oil company is also coming. So they're going to talk more of the high-end discussions when it comes to policies and the general business environment within the oil sector, and whether it favors local players or it favors more multinationals and foreign players. And in Takoradi, we have the head of the Jubilee Technical Training Center. This is a center that was set up initially with funding from Talo. Now that funding has ended, but they still have funding from some external donors. And the whole idea is they've built a sort of mock rig on the campus. So it's to give the students hands-on experience, hands-on training in working on such oil rigs. So his name is Mr. Matthew Jan. He will be there on the panel. And we also have the Petroleum Workers Union, George Hansen, on the panel there. And we have some community members and the students and so on and so forth who are interested, who are either interested in working in the oil sector or have been affected by the lack of work in the oil sector, to have that discussion with us. It will be hosted by Evan Spencer. He is the head of He's hosted by Evan Spencer. He's the head of political desk, and we've been doing quite a number of oil and gas projects for this election season, because it looks as if that discussion has gotten a little bit lost within the campaigning. People are doing infrastructure and health and allowance or no allowance, but where our oil money goes, what the status of oil is in Ghana, what the political parties have for the sector, has sort of been left behind. So we've continued to engage the political parties and also to engage the citizens, because oil is very technical. Even me, before we started this project, I thought the oil issues a bit too, technical. So we have to try and break it down for the people, for the populace to understand and to know exactly what the impact will be on their lives.
But more so, we know our colleague Justice Beidou has been doing a lot more work the last couple of months in many of the communities that, so to speak, are bordering some of those areas in the Western region. But we have to be realistic about it. Are we going to have discussions surrounding how we hope to build a capacity perhaps in the medium to long term, instead of thinking that we immediately need to have people in the local content area of the oil industry?
Well, the idea is that we've already had a number of years to build capacity. Ghana has been drilling oil for about 6 years now. So in 2020, that'll be 10 years of drilling oil, and you're thinking within 10 years you'd have managed to build quite a lot of capacity, especially with the fact that they have now technical universities are there, they have the engineering courses. The Jubilee Technical Training Center, for instance, has been there for about 5 years now. So the idea is that by now we should have much more people who have the skills needed, who have the know-how to man some of these rigs, and also to set up some of these downstream industries and also the auxiliary services. So we'll have the discussion on that. We would have the discussion with the trainers and also the students and say, okay, you've been training these people, they've been graduating. When they graduate, where do they go? What's happening? What's the disconnect? Is it realistic, or is it a fact that we need to now start cracking the whips on some of these companies and tell them that, okay, you really have to, meet the quotas that we've set in our laws. Quick word though, this whole project is being sponsored by the Ghana Oil and Gas for Inclusive Growth, that's GOGIC. And we've been doing this with them for a while now. I think we did a ballot box in Takoradi where we focused on oil and gas, and that is when the NPP said they're going to relocate the GNPC headquarters to Takoradi. We've also done, as you said, some documentaries with Justice Beidou on how the oil find has affected social life within Takoradi. We know that now the cost of living is very high, and I've been to Takoradi a few times trying to, as I said, understand exactly what the dynamics are. And it's interesting to see that a lot of people
There's a great disconnect, you
disconnect. The disconnect is huge. It's a gulf. It's like you talk about oil and they're like, what are you saying? The oil city is just a tag that has been put there by people who want to basically come and make our lives more difficult and make it more expensive. So it's been an interesting process, and hopefully the process will continue tonight on this Ghana Connect special.
But how do we hope to leverage on this, especially this platform of Ghana Connect, to also bring in perhaps the policymakers to be part of the discussion and overall create a certain deeper understanding for the ordinary listener or viewer, so to speak? So
as I mentioned before, it's a process that we've started a while ago. We've already done One Voters Compass, we've done the documentaries, and we've done the ballot box. Now the ballot box was where we got the political players to actually come and tell us what they had for Ghana Connect. Now within all this, the lack of understanding is glaring. People are not interested because they don't get it. So this Ghana Connect special is to help people get it. So if you're talking about local content, what do you mean? You're talking about beneficial ownership. You're talking about blocks being sold. Which blocks are being sold? So this Ghana Connect is about breaking it down so that the work that has been done so far, people can appreciate it a bit better and understand a bit better why oil and gas matters, whether or not you are in Takoradi or you're in Accra. I mean, like, at the end of the day, when the oil is drilled and is sold, the money comes into the national kitty. So whether
you should be concerned.
You should be concerned what the money is used for. You should be concerned when it comes to local content, because it would determine who is actually certain, in certain cases, who is actually not certain, but who is in a way influencing the market, because now we've deregulated our downstream oil market. So if there are more Ghanaian players in there, it would benefit all of us as Ghanaians. But it's trying to get that understanding down. That's the main focus of today's discussion. So in terms of the policymakers, yes, we've heard them. Well, we've heard most of them. And they've told us what they want to do with the oil money. Most of them were more concerned with when we get the money, this is what we're going to spend it on.
And the time is when?
So it's at 5:30 till 6. And as I said, we are doing it from the UPSA campus. And
5:30 to 6 o'clock?
5:30 to 7, sorry. 5:30 to 7.
5:30 to 7.
Yes, 5:30 to 7. So it's an hour and a half discussion.
Today seems to be a longer than usual one.
Yes, that's because we're doing it from 2 locations simultaneously. So we'll be
right.
crossing over between Accra and Takoradi.
And it will be only on Joy FM?
It will be on radio, TV, and online.
Radio, TV, online. It's a special edition of Ghana Connect, and we had a special coordinator of this very edition of Ghana Connect, Jahu Nyan, in the studio. Thanks for passing through, Jahu.
Thank you very much.
So from here, where will you be going? Or you just be putting together stuff?
We'll be going to Tamale next week. Still talking about oil and gas.
Okay.
As you said, we want to give it a national feel, so people understand that oil and gas is not a Takoradi problem.
All right.
It's a Ghana issue. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Jahu Nyan, special coordinator for this very special edition of Ghana Connect. It's basically focusing on oil and gas, and so it will be live from 5:30 to 7 on radio, TV, online, from the UPSA campus. That's the University of Professional Studies Accra campus, and then also we're going to have a location in Takoradi. So to speak, the oil city, Western region. It will be presented or anchored by Evans Spencer. So please make sure that you join the Ghana Connect team, special edition, oil and gas. I will be listening, watching if I can as well. So, but as always, if you have any of those comments on this, you can always get interactive. JoyNews on TV is our page on Facebook, and then also 0560 800,000 is on our WhatsApp platform.